Hello. Hi guys, good morning. Let me quickly also get the stream done. It just starts from the back itself. Cool, no worries. Hi guys, good morning. I hope that whosoever is here, firstly, whosoever is here, can you please write down hi, hello, something like that. That would be great. If people are watching, we are 4 minutes early, no worries at all. We have tech advice. Cool. Hi, Uday Kumar. How are you? Hello, bro. Hi. Firstly, we will actually see all the 4 problems. The last one was amazing. See, it's a very standard problem of digit DP. It's just a slight modification of digit DP, but that was great. We will exactly see. See, no worries if you know that or not. I'll from scratch show you that the next question you will see of digit DP, how you can solve that. So from scratch we will go how to solve the problems of digit DP. Cool. But before that, a quick thing. Hey Kamal, how are you? Yeah, that's a nice batch. So like it's a leisure for you people to write down anything. So hi Kamal, hi, hey, and Uday Kumar, hi, Chandan, hi bro, hi Uma, hi. How's your SD job going on, bro? That's going great, bro. But a quick thing for the folks who joined in, can you please let me know how many questions you were able to solve? 1, 2, 3, or all 4? Then it's great. And we will stress on specifically on question 4, and also we will see how to think of question 3 to actually optimize that. So yeah, but before that, can we reach to 10 likes? That would be great. You folks are here. Just 3 more, that would be great. But yeah, soon we will be starting. In 2 minutes, we will be starting with the questions itself. No bakchodi at all. And now, so Uday Kumar 3, that's great. And other folks also, Kamal, Uma, Chandan, you guys can just write down. Ashutosh, start with the last one. See, the first, second and third usually won't take time at all. It will be just 15-20 minutes. So that's the reason we will just quickly go on through them, and then we will actually, because last one I have actually drawn the entire notes for you, because I wanted to have those notes also ready so that I can give them to like later the entire notes part. So that entire notes of, see, if you just go on, okay, like the screen is not visible, but yeah, the entire notes of 4th is also ready, so that you can refer the digit DP notes later on. That's the reason. But yeah, can we quickly reach to 10 likes? That would be great. 2, Kamal Sharma 2, Ashutosh 3, Chandan 2 questions, and third gave me TLE. For sure, the way you might have tried would give you TLE, but Uma 3, cool. Start rank 1700, great. Cool. But can we, before that, see, folks are joining and you guys are not even liking. Just one more like that, we reach the 10 likes, and we will be starting in 1 minute for sure. Wami, third was I couldn't optimize it. See, if you had watched the last lectures of our this live weekly contest, so we had this graph kind of problems, this matrix kind of problems, where we actually make row, column, and try to optimize that. So from there we actually think, okay, how to optimize that. But yeah, properly I will show you how to do that stuff. But cool, we have folks in, we are at 11. Let's quickly jump on to problem statements, and that would be great. And as I was showing, I have exactly like made, see, specifically for the question 4, because it is the first question I have been teaching in like you guys in this Leetcode. Because see, in Leetcode since last 2-3 months I have never covered a question of a digit DP as such. That's the reason I have specifically made the entire notes for you guys. I'll also paste the link in the description box and also in the comments for you to refer those notes later on. So it's the entire notes I have made. Okay, something is not right. Tablet is disconnected. Cool, I'll reconnect that again, but cool, no worries. I was just saying that I have made the entire notes for you guys so that you can refer those notes later on. Just अबे यार क्या दिक्कत है इसको अब Don't do this to me, please. Okay. Let's try to connect that again. Oh, fortunately it connected back. मेरी जान आ गई थी भाई, because last time also it happened that it was not connecting and I was just stuck. Cool. See, you can see the entire notes I have made for this particular problem so that you can refer that later. But yeah, we will entirely go on to it later on. Just quickly skim through the first, second, and third. We will actually go on thoda sa deep to think of that next time you can actually think how to optimize it. Cool. Okay. No worries, Wami. That's no worries. इतने लोगों ने कैसे कर लिया third? None of my friends with 1750 plus 800 plus rating could not solve it. Cheats are increasing as placements are coming in. That happens a lot, but no worries on that part. See, leave that aside. In Code Forces, Code Chef also it happens. See, we are here for our learning. We are here to understand and actually perform. That won't help them in long run because it actually affects their mentality that they cannot solve it, which in turn makes them feel in contest in OAs also that they won't be able to solve it. But yeah, we can just skip that and move on to our progress. That would be great. Which app you are using to prepare notes? It's OneNote. But yeah, cool. I did third on my own. I am 1591. Cool. That is great, Shivam. Cool. Let's quickly jump on to the question one. That was super duper easy. How? Minimize the string length. It's question one, right? Yep. It is saying that you are having a zero index string S, repeatedly perform the following operations any number of times. What's the operation like? That you can choose any index, and then what you can do is let C be the character in the position I. Okay, at the position I have a character C, then I can delete the closest occurrence of C to the left or the closest occurrence of C to the right of I, which means I can choose any character A, and the closest occurrence of A I can delete, and the closest occurrence of another A I can delete in the left and right. Cool. Now I have to tell, okay, the task is to minimize the length of S, which means I have to remove the closest occurrence of every character by performing the operations any number of times. So it's very general and for sure that what I will do if I have any A, B, C, then because of one A, or you can choose any A. Okay, let's choose this A. Because of this A, the right A will get deleted. Cool. Because of the A, right A will get deleted. Cool. Now, when A's are finished, okay, for this A, any other A is not left. So it cannot delete any other A. So rather than just thinking, okay, left, right, just think, okay, for the one character, I can remove every other character of the same, like this particular A. So for this A, I can remove every other A. Any A. For this B also, either left or right, I can remove every other B, which means ultimately only one A will remain, only one B will remain, only one C will remain, which means only the distinct alphabets will remain in the entire end, and that is the minimum length we can actually find. It is that simple. Because see, because of this deleting the leftmost and the rightmost occurrence, I can simply slash down the left, simply slash down the right. So I can simply just delete any occurrence of that particular stuff. And that would go. Like for the C, B, B, D, I can, because of this B, I can delete the other B, and ultimately only one occurrence of every character will remain. For this D, 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 A, because of this D, I can remove this D and this D. And then because of this A, I can remove this A, and ultimately just the unique characters will remain. Ultimately, our task was to find the unique characters. That's all. Let's quickly jump on to the code. It was very simple. Let me just quickly show you the code, and that is this one. Cool. So as we simply go, I just use an unordered map. You can use a simple array of size 26 also, because it's just simply anything you can just choose and do. I just simply went and find the number of unique characters in this string S, and that was it ultimately. So I just had a map which will actually get incremented as soon as it gets the first character. Okay, if this C has occurred the first time, just go and increment it counter. else if it has been 1, which means it has occurred again. So please don't count that again and again. And ultimately I just increase my answer. So I just simply return the answer. That is all for this question. Let's quickly jump on to the question number 2. That was also very easy, but quickly, which app you're using did not come up with the inversing the queries. Cool. No worries. We will actually see. But before that, can we reach to 20 likes? Just one more like, that would be great. Before that, let's quickly jump on to question number 2. Semi-ordered permutation. It just simply says that okay, you are having a zero index permutation n integers called as numbers. You know the permutation is what? If a permutation of size n, it has all the numbers from 1 to n, which means if I say the permutation of size 5, it has all the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. That is it. Cool. Now a permutation is called semi-ordered. A permutation is called semi-ordered if the first number is equal to 1 and the last number is equal to n. Okay, I said okay, the permutation of, let's say, n equal to 5 will have any combination, which means any shuffling, any subsequence, what I'm saying, any order of 1 to 5, which means it can have 3, 4, 2, 1, 5, so on and so forth. So what we say as a semi-ordered is that the first occurrence here, it should be having a 1 and last it should be having a 5. Then it is called as a semi-ordered permutation. So basically our task is that what we can do is we can swap two adjacent elements of nums and ultimately I have to make a semi-ordered permutation. Cool, which means I have to bring my 1 to the start and last, which means n to the end. So, and it is just saying okay, what's a permutation like? But if we just quickly go and think, okay, ultimately what I have to do is I have 2, 1, 4 and 3. So I have to bring in this 1 to the start, and the only operation I can perform is do the swaps. That's it. So why to think very much? I have to bring this 1 to the start, right? And the only thing I can do is swap. So make swaps. Okay, just make this 1 here and 2 here, because I'm just swapping. And ultimately I just look again, okay, 1 is at this location. Now my main aim was to also bring my last number, which is n, at the last location. So I'll do the same thing, but just swapping at the end part, because I'm thinking greedily. Why? I wanted minimum number of operations. So if I have some occurrence, okay, this, if 1 is there, so simply bring 1 at the start, just do a swap here, that's it. If my n is here, simply do bring that to end, which means think greedy and just swap. That is it. How you will simply bring on your 1 to the start and n to the end. How? Now simply what I will do is that I will simply bring this n to the end by just one swap. So 3 will come here, 4 will come here. So 1 swap for here and 1 swap for here, answer is 2. If we go back and look here, 2, 4, 1, 3, I have to bring my 1 to the start. So I'll do a swap, because ultimately it needs to come here. And the only operation is swap. So simply do a swap, which means 1, 4 will come here and 1, 2 will come here. In 2 swaps, 1 reached. Now my task is to bring 4 to the end. No worries at all. Bring this 4 to the end by simply 1 swap. So it will come 3 and 4. And that is how in third swap, my 4 came. You saw in the first swap, the 4 location got changed also. So please make sure that, okay, if you have the 4 location, it can get changed on the operation you were doing for the swap of 1. That's the reason I have simply thinking greedily. 1 needs to go at the start, n needs to go at the end. So, and the only operation is swap. So simply swap and swap the adjacent elements and just move that to the start. And then ultimately, if you have n, swap the adjacent element and move that to the end. That is how you will simply find the answer. Cool. Let me quickly show you the code, and that is pretty simple. But yeah, before that, can we reach to 30 likes? That would be great. Just 2 more. That would be great. See, here I just did firstly answer to know the number of swaps needed, and then I have this n. No worries, you know the n. Now I just simply go on and find my occurrence of 1, which means the index at which 1 was placed, because I know if 1 is placed here, I need to do a swap in the start part, which means from 1 I need to go to the index as 0, and so that it just goes that swap range. I'll quickly show back again. I will just go and find, okay, for these indexes, I will just go and find the index of 1, which is ID of 1. And then I will just go on until the start to get the swaps needed for this. And also I will do the actual swaps. Why? It may be possible that 4 also gets swapped. That's the reason I'll do the actual swaps. And the constraints are pretty low, so for sure that will be done. And if I have ID of n as here, then I will just do a shuffling, swap, but please make sure that ID of n can get changed at the first swap itself, which means because the swap of ones, like 1 I was doing a swap, so maybe n was anywhere here before, so it can get shifted also. So please make sure that you update the ID of n also later. Cool. If I just quickly go on, then I will just mark my ID of 1, although I also update ID of n, but it is not needed at all because ID of n I'll update later also, so ID of n is not needed. I'll just say, okay, if I have found number of 1 as 1, then I can simply say ID of 1 is actually that index, which means ID of 1 represents, okay, 1 is located at this index. Now I will simply until, okay, if my ID of 1 is already at index 0, which means it is already at the start, so please don't perform any operations at all. But if it is not, then please do a swap until the start, which means I from ID of 1 until the start, which means up till the 1, and I'll do a simple swap to bring that to my actual start, and I actually do the swap operations, and then ultimately, okay, it is done, which means the 1 has reached the starting. Again, I will go and find the index of n by simply trading on this again, and see, you can optimize that for sure. It's not needed, but yeah, the constraints are pretty low. So I just said, okay, why not? So you just go and simply make your n, find the index of n, which is ID of n. And then you can here simply do a break. And ultimately, you will just go and check, okay, if your n is already at the end, so no worries at all. But if it is not, then simply go and do a swap until the end and find the answer. And that is all. Simply I will just return the answer, and that is how you will perform this operation. Cool. We will quickly jump on to question number 3, but before that I will just quickly go on through the comments, and for sure, can we reach to 35 likes? That would be great. You guys are amazing. Yeah, as I said that it can be performed in lesser operations also, because as Anonymous FTW like wrote down, so you can just apply these operations and get the same. Kamal Sharma hit the same for sure. That is how you can actually get the answer. Yes, Mohit, I did the same. Yeah, I said that it can be a one-liner, but if you don't want to apply too much brains on, okay, what to add and what not to add, you can simply do just have this implementation stuff, and that would be done also. Difference of indexes, that is correct. 4, yeah, for sure. Somadeep, we will go on to 4. D fast, please. Yeah, for sure. That's close. Kamal Sharma, LMAO. I did my third. Okay, I did not come up with inversing the queries. No worries. That's so close. D fast, please. For sure. Tech 4, please do D. Yeah, for sure. We are coming on D. Optimize third with sets. Sets is not required. We can simply have a simple iteration on your rows and counts. Multi-sets, actually, no worries. Difference of indexes, that can be done for sure. Yeah, Yash, that is correct. Just find the index of 1 and n and just do the operation. Correct. Mohit Unyal, actually, we don't need to actually swap. Yeah, correct. I just said we don't need to swap, but whenever is the contest, I don't think of applying my mind very much. Even thinking of indexing subtraction can make you think a bit. So I'll just quickly write that. It takes hardly 2 minutes or 1 minute even to just write that part. So why not? Yes, Mohit, I did the same. Cool. Shivam Negi, Mohit Unyal, same, did the same. Aryan, my friend, hi, IT IO64, hi, IT. Mohit Unyal, I couldn't solve third question in optimized way. Cool, no worries. We're actually moving on to the third question now, right now. So before that, if we can we reach to 35 likes, just one more like, that would be great. But before that, I'll actually see, although in the last streams also I have told that if you have a question of matrices and you want to apply operation on that, then please bring that down to the row operation and the column operation. That's the reason that how the thinking part comes in picture, because as soon as you read it, you know you have to optimize it. Now you also know how you have to optimize it, because in the last lectures, which means in the last live streams, I have told you how these matrix problems can be optimized, which means how these row and the column queries, it can be optimized. But still, in this video also, I'm going to show you from scratch that how to please mark this and please remember this part, that how you should be optimizing your matrix queries or any matrix operation which needs to be applied on the matrix again and again, how you optimize that part. Cool. Before that, let's quickly jump on to the question. How? See, what the question is saying to us is, let me quickly have the purple. I just love this lavender color for sure. But yeah, can we reach 35? Just 2 more. Some of the matrix after queries, basically it is saying that, okay, you are having an integer n, which is just saying, okay, I have an n cross n matrix virtually, not actually written down to us, but yeah, integer n will just show us n cross n matrix. Now, a zero index 2D array called as queries. Oh, I have the queries array also, where every query index will have type, index, and value. What it says is, if the type is 0, which means I need to operate on the row, which means if the type is 0, I will just go on to the index row. I will just go on to the indexed row, which means it is 0, 1, 2. It is 0, 1, 2. Okay, let me change the color to back to red. It is not visible. 0, 1, 2. 0, 1, 2. So basically, if I have the type as a 0, I will just simply go and check this value, which means for the index row, which means let's quickly take the example itself. Here the type is 0. So I'll go on to the 0th row. 0th row. Cool. If the type is 1, I will go on to the second column. I will go on to the second column. If the type is 0, I will go on to the second row. If the type is 1, I'll go on to the 0th column. That is how this type 1 and type 2 will help us do the queries. Now, what we have to do? Initially we are given a n cross n matrix filled with zeros. Now, for each query, you must apply the following operations. As I said, for the type 0 on this indexed row, for this type 1 on the index column, just override all the values to this val of I, which means all the values will become val of I, all the values 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 val of I. That is the operation which we need to perform. Now, comes the part that, okay, the ultimate task for me is to return the sum of integers in the matrix after all the queries applied. After all the queries are applied, I have to get the sum of integers in the matrix, which means I am not required. He's not asking me, okay, what is the final matrix? Nah, he is only asking me the sum of all the elements in this matrix. Now, before writing on, let's quickly look at the constraints, because see, one basic, oh fuck, what is this? There is a very big something. Damn. I'm scared now. Cool. No worries. If it kata alag baat hai. But yeah. Now, if we just look at the constraints, if we just go by the brute force way, then for every query, what I will do is, firstly, I will make my n cross n matrix, right? I will simply make my n cross n matrix, right? Now, for every query, I will just go on, update the entire row or the column, which means every query, I am applying the operation on the entire row, and the row can be of size n, which means for every query, for these n queries, let's say I have this queries called as Q. For this Q queries, I will apply this operation on every row or column, that is Q into N. So if I just go by the brute force way, the time complexity will be Q into N, which is 5 into 1e4, which is 5 into 1e4 into 1e4, which is 5 into 1e8. And that is actually pretty much, which means, see, usually it is 1e8 which is recommended, or 2 into 1e8, or at max 3 into 1e8. 5 into 1e8, it may or may not run, but I have seen in Leetcode that usually as soon as the complexity reaches 1e8, it don't run. Although by just saying, okay, maybe it cannot, maybe it cannot, but yeah, for sure, please try to go in that range of 1e7 only, or at max to 1e8. But 1e8 also I've seen in Leetcode, it doesn't run. So for sure, we can't do this stuff. We have to bring in up till less than equal to 1e7. Now for that part, what we can do is think. Now, firstly, as soon as we see this matrix question and we need to find and optimize queries on rows and columns, so one thing which for sure comes in my mind is, and it's a standard trick. Please make sure that you remember the standard trick next time in future. As soon as you get the queries on this matrix and you find and you want to optimize that, all that stuff, one thing should come in your mind is, rather than querying on the entire row and entire column, I will just make one row and one column itself. Which means I will make a one array called as columns, and I will make one again array called as rows, which will store, okay, rather than the entire matrix. Maybe I'm saying it is a trick which will actually help us think that how we can optimize that. But yeah, as soon as this kind of question comes, please, kitna bhai, koi baat nahi. As soon as this kind of question comes, please bring it down to, okay, using only one thing as, let's say, columns, which will store the entire information of this first column. This means, okay, this array called as C, it will just store, okay, this index 0, 1, 2. This index 0 will store all the information of this entire column 0, all the information of this entire column 1, all the information of this entire column 2. This row will store all the information of this entire row 0, all the information of the entire row 1, all the information of entire row 2. This is how we think of optimizing, and the standard trick. Please remember the standard trick, how to think of optimizing. And I'm saying, maybe it is applicable, maybe not. See, maybe applicable, maybe not. It can be possible that it is not applicable, but still, it is how we started thinking of. Now, cool. Now, operation which it was saying was to me was that, okay, at this part, which means, okay, if it is applying on the row, then at the 0th row, please write all the ones. Which means at this row 0, all the ones will be written. Now, I am concerned about the sum. So maybe I can think of, okay, for this particular row, my sum would become 3. I'm just thinking right now. I'm not showing you the answers. Answer comes from the thinking part. If you just want to know the answer, you can just go and watch another video. But I'm just showing you how to think and reach to the actual intuition. Okay, oh, that is not like I did not click that part. Oh, it is how we can actually reach to that part where we can actually click the answers. Get answer clicked. No worries. So okay, I want to look at the sum. It can be 1 into 3 because entire row is 3. But the impact as soon as the next columns comes in. Okay, at the index 2, I have to put in all the 2's. So for sure, I can just put in, okay, 2 into 3, which is 6 here. But Aryan, is it actually a 6? Which means this row part, it get modified. But because of this modifying my particular column, earlier this column had all these sums as 1, and it was 1 earlier. But now because of this upcoming 2, it became as 6. But then it became as a simple 4. it became 2 to 2. So basically you saw, Aryan, for every query I have to update, for every query for every query, for this query I updated the row, I updated all the columns. For every query again I'm updating one row or one column and also the entire row or other column, which means for this I updated this particular row, one cell, and the entire row itself. So still the complexity is same. I'll say yeah, it is same, which means this trick won't help us. But maybe this array making won't help us, but maybe this row and column stuff, it can help us. How? I saw, okay, row and column making is not helping me because I have to write the same stuff again in the entire row, in the entire column. But I'm only concerned about this picture, right? Ultimately, my answer would look something like this, right? Now I knew, okay, every element, is it possible that I can find the contribution of that every element? And for sure I know, okay, maybe this trick can also help me. I cannot use this I cannot use this entire row and column entirely, but maybe I can just use this variables row and column. How? I know ultimately my query would look something like this in the last, which means the last query which was done, it will override every other value it was having. Okay, it will have 4, 4, 4, which means every other value it override. Ultimately, I know one thing for sure, that okay, this particular column, it was okay a one type, which means it's a column and it's a zeroth column. So zeroth column will have all the fours, which means 4 count will be number of, which means n is nothing but number of rows. Okay, it's same for both rows and columns. So basically the contribution of this last query is actually a 12. But we also know one thing for sure is, as soon as this last query came in, one column is gone. Either I can use this array itself or I can use a variable. Okay, one column is gone. Or I can also write, okay, c equal to 1, right? But as soon as my next query comes in, which means I'm going reverse. Why reverse? Because I know ultimately the things will get overridden. So rather than overriding stuff, I'll just count only the stuff which is required. 4 will never get overridden after this because 4 was actually the last query. So it's a reason. I just wanted the ultimate thing in the last. That's the reason I'm going reverse. Now, as soon as the next element comes in, it is as 3 and it is at the row which is 2. 2 row, everything came as 3. You saw this 3. But I also remember that, okay, hey Aryan, because of this column, it is saying to me that one column is already occupied and it will never get changed. So I'm just in my mind, I just know one thing. One column is occupied. This incoming element, it will actually have to modify entire row. But in this entire row, I already know one column is modified. One column is already occupied. So the chance which 3 has is 3 into 2. How this 2? In total, I have 3 columns, but one column is already occupied, which is 3 minus 1. That's the reason with this help of C or this column variable, I know, okay, one column was already occupied. Now, I just know, okay, also one thing, after this 3 came in this row, one row is also occupied. I'm just concerned about the row which is occupied, or I can also mark it as, okay, this one row is also occupied. Anything you can do. Now came the next element, which is for the column at the index 2, everything gets overridden by 2. For the column at the index 2, everything gets overridden by 2. But I know, okay, to override this part, which means every row gets modified. Cool. But one row was already modified, already occupied. So I cannot override one row, which means the only option I have to override is 2 rows left. So for this 2, the options I have is, earlier it was 3, but because of now one row occupied, it is 2. How to? Ultimately it was 3 options, but then one row was already occupied. That's the reason it is nothing but a 3 minus 1. Now ultimately for this last number, which is 1, Okay, for this row 0, everything has 1, which means every column will have 1. But okay, one thing for sure also, your column will increase by 2 because this number came in at the last column. So now your column count is actually a 2. Now as soon as this 1 came in picture, he will ask me, okay, I have to modify all the columns, but can I? He will say 1 into number of columns I can actually override. But I will say, okay, 2 columns are already overridden, so you cannot touch those columns, which means he cannot have these columns as touched, which means only one option remain. Why 1? Because 3 was the ultimate number of columns and 2 columns were already occupied. -2, and that is simply a 1. That is simple. You can find the count of every number, and that is how I can simply go and traverse backwards and count. Because you see, ultimately I know I have to use this part, row or column. Maybe I can use the array, or maybe I can simply use the count, but I have to simply convert everything as row or a column, because I cannot go and iterate on the entire matters again and again. That is the reason I knew, okay, maybe I can use this thing, maybe how I can convert that to using that part. That is how I can simply get my answer. Now, it is the basic crux of this problem, but here a slight edge case comes in picture. What is the edge case? Although I've drawn that stuff out, see, if you will just go and quickly look at this particular part, it is this. Please have a snapshot of this. I'll just iterate on this particular matrix. So for this part, you will see that, okay, if one row is already occupied, which means let me quickly make this part. So it is one thing which actually I got stuck at, which means I was just wondering, okay, what is the issue in the above approach? It looks super cool, right? But yeah, if you can actually tell what's the issue in above approach, that would be great. But I'll still tell that the issue which will come in, please let me know your rank. To go to this page, click on more in the ranking sections. Can I know your Leetcode profile name? It will show in the Leetcode profile. Share. Okay, thanks, man. Cool. So what will happen is, let's say this particular column is done, this row is done, this row is done, this particular row is also done. Let's say this column is done and this column is done. Now, let's say here you will see the column count is actually a 3, the row count is actually a 2. But if I go and ask you for this row again, if I just give you a type, okay, just, hey Aryan, what is this row? What is the impact of this row? So what you will go and see, okay, the value added was, let's say, val, and number of rows possible are actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? But I could see, okay, options available because 3 columns are already occupied. So minus, do a simple C, which is 5 minus 3, which is actually a 2. So do a value into 2. But this row was already occupied. I wanted to infer one thing from this particular scene is that, let's say, if by this particular query, if I had gone back to this thing, okay, 0, 2 and 3, this query of 0, 2 and 3, which means the row which is the second row, please do a 3. I say, okay, please do a 5, anything number, but at the same row, if I am performing an operation, same row I'm performing an operation, okay, let's quickly erase this, same row, which means it was saying, okay, have it as 5, 5, but I know next time it was overridden. But according to our formula, we were only doing 3 into n minus columns, but the column itself count was earlier only 1 because only one column was modified, which is the fourth, which is this particular location, which is at the j equal to 0. By just updating this, I just updated the row because see, only one row got impacted. But next time when I'm again coming on the same row, he will ask for the columns count because he will just try to add the impact of that particular row. He don't know if that row was already entirely done. So I have to also make sure, okay, when I'm iterating on any row, So I have to make sure, hey, is that row already occupied? Which means, is that row already done? Which means the row 2 was already occupied. So in moving backwards, if any other operation comes in which is trying to modify the row 2, I will not count its impact. I will not count its impact because row 2 was already modified. So please don't count its impact. It is a tricky part which you have to think in, because it may be possible that they repeat the same kind of row query, which means for the row part, please do the same query on the row 2, which means this 5 is being ridden. But we also know that, okay, in the next query, that will entirely get overridden by this 3. So as we are moving in, if again this kind of query comes in, which, okay, it's trying to modify the same row again, I will not modify that. Okay, it's of no use. Just skip this query and go on next. That is one case you have to think of in the last. That is all you have to think of in this problem. I hope that you guys like it. For sure, if yes, then please can we reach to 55 likes? That would be great. And meanwhile, yeah, I just never knew that emoji part you just guys share, and that is actually a great part also. But yeah, let's quickly jump onto the code. It's very simple. We will simply use a row count, a column count. Okay, if that row is impacted, the column is impacted, the row count gets increased, the column count gets decreased. And also we will make sure, okay, we'll have a map. If this row was already touched, already completed, so please don't modify this row again, because we are moving backwards. Right, let's quickly reach to 55 likes. That would be great. Just 2 more likes. Oh, you guys did it. Thank you so much. Let's quickly jump on to the explanation. I will have a row count, I will have the column count, and please next time for any of the matrix queries, please bring it down to the column and row, because it's a very good trick that matrix, if it is bigger, then you can bring everything down to only columns and only rows, and that can be super helpful if the matrix is pretty large. Cool. Now simply having a row count and a column count and simply going on to every queries, this map of row and map of column will just show me if that row was already occupied, which means already overridden. So if I am moving back in the queries and trying to override that same row again, so it can't be done, because we are moving backwards. If it is already overridden with one thing, in moving backwards, it will not have any impact on the same row itself. So I'll quickly go back in the row, which means I'm going back from the last query to the first query. I will find, okay, what is its type, what is the ID, which means the index, and what is the value, right? Then I will have all the possible options. Ultimately, my initial possible options are n, because n options are available. Now I will just go, okay, if the type is 0 and that row, because see, it's of type row, so that row is already not occupied, only then I will actually apply operations on that row. Other option is if the type is 1, which means it is column, and also that column is already not occupied. Right, I will just simply do a possibility, which means, okay, my possible options available right now for this particular row are possible options which was n minus, okay, columns, because column will make sure how many column are available for that particular row. Right, for this row ID, how many columns are available will just let me know by this particular possibility, which is n minus the columns which are already occupied, which is C. Ultimately, I have occupied one row because I am iterating on one row right now, so my row will increase, right? And also I will just mark, okay, now this particular row is also occupied. So please make sure that you cannot modify the same row again. And also it's of no use, although, but yeah, still I've just added this condition, okay, if just row exceeds n, so please bring it down to n. Although it won't go because I'm going on to every row exactly once, right? Now my type is 1, which means I am iterating on the columns now. So it will just seem, okay, if that column is already occupied, so please don't go it. But if it is not, then go into it, which means my possibility, which means my possible options will become for that particular column, which is n options minus number of rows which is occupied, which is possible options minus r, Now, as I am occupying one column itself entirely, so column will increase, my new column will increase, my column count will increase, sorry, and also I am occupying that column of ID, so it will just say, okay, that column is already also visited. Now, ultimately, the same case for this, although it will not go because I'm going on every column only once. And then ultimately, he will say, okay, please add the contribution of that particular possible options into value. Possible options is, okay, n minus r or n minus c into that value, which is val. Ultimately, I will just return the answer. And that is how you will simply solve this problem, right? Quickly, we will go on to the chats and yeah, but meanwhile, if you guys are liking it, yeah, we'll quickly go on to the last question, which is DP1. But before that, if you guys are liking it, then please can we smash that baby to 60? That would be great. Cool. What is pause variable doing? See, pause is just showing me, never mind, got it, cool. Although it was just showing, okay, what are the possible options it has left. Down to -20, Rishi Jain, go to contest page, click on okay, ranking, how to know what's the rank in my first contest, rank, please do D, आज फिर minus हो गई कितना भाई, double to, yalla, okay, you guys are discussing ranks, cool, no worries, so you can please tell others variable to know, cool. Thanks, Mohit Unyal, Prashant, Yella. Now, we'll quickly jump on to question number 4. But yeah, before that, I'll explain you the digit DP from scratch. If it is the first question of your digit DP, no worries at all. I'm saying no worries at all. From this, after this video, you will be able to solve a very easily the questions of digit DP. That is my promise for sure. Because see, this question involves 3 variations of digit DP, but it is a very standard use case. And firstly, you might be wondering, okay, Aryan, what you are saying, digit DP, what is that stuff? No worries at all. Just consider this as a question of a DP, and as it is based on digits, thus it has a name as digit DP. As you might have seen, okay, DP on trees, which means a tree which is actually using DP in it, it's called a DP on trees. So when we are actually working on digits of a number, it is just called a digit DP. But no worries, even if you don't know anything, I'll simply explain you from scratch how it is done. Cool. Before that, can we quickly reach to 60 likes? That would be great. And I will be starting in a minute, and that is now. Cool. So basically, it is saying count of integers. You are given 2 numerical strings in num1 and num2. Please, even if you don't understand in the first go, please stay with me, and you can also go back and listen it. But yeah, please stay with me. Num1 and num2, and also we are having 2 integers called as maxsum and minsum. Now, we denote an integer x to be good if it is between the num1 and num2, and also its sum is between the minsum and maxsum. Return the number of good integers. Please mark my word. Return the number of good integers which is in this range, which means from num1 to num2, and also their sum of digits is between minsum and maxsum. Right, cool, no worries at all, and as the answer can be pretty large, so please return it modulo 1e9 plus 7. Now it just says, okay, what this digit sum is saying, it's just saying, okay, for this number, what is the sum of all its digits? Now, the first very basic stuff which I can ask you is, just bring me out every possible number between this range of num1 and num2. Which means if I just say, okay, num1 is 2, 4, 3, 2, 3, 7, let's say, and num2 is, let's say, 5, 9, 8, 4. So please bring me out every number in this range from num1 to num2. Now, after bringing out that number from range num1 to num2, I can ask you anything. Here he was just saying, okay, please make sure I'm breaking down the problem to 2 parts. One part is, please bring me out every number between this range num1 and num2. And the next part is, you will say, Aryan, you are asking me to bring me out every number in this range from this number to this number, right? As simple as that. So I will just simply apply a for loop and we'll go on to every number from this range to this range. I'll say, wait a second. Please look at the numbers itself. Please look at the numbers itself. Just have a look. Look. It can be 10 to the power 22. 22, 10 to the power 22. Maximum it is 1e18, which is long. And still, the iterations you can do is 1e7 only. So you can't do a for loop to jump on to every number in this range. So please make sure, my first query for you is, please break it down. The first query is to bring out every number from this range to this range, which means from this low, which means num1 to num2. Bring out every number. Now, the next operation is, please. Next, as soon as you got that number, please apply the operation on this number. Please apply the operation on this number. An operation can be anything. It can just say, okay, the sum of digits of this particular number x, it can be, let's say, this sum. Or it can say, okay, x, its sum, it can be, which means x digit sum, it can be from min sum to max sum. Min sum to max sum. Or it can say, okay, the product of the digits of this particular number x, it can be from, it can be, let's say, some number, let's say y. It can say, okay, the product of this number, of this digits of x, it can be prime or anything. So operation finding this first step is one part. Now, and using that number x and applying operation on that number x is another part itself. So please break it down. Please break down the next problem of your digit DP into two steps. Bringing out all the numbers, which is very standard, which you have to repeat that same stuff. It's a reason. I'll just show you the code and please mark it down as it is. And the next operation will be just apply this operation. It can change question to question, but it will more or less, which means 40% problem of digit DP starts from this. Your number is in this range. That is the reason. Please start with this part and then after that modify your question, which means after getting your x or meanwhile getting your x, please keep on applying this operation. Now let's come back to the questions. You know one thing for sure, that okay, if your minimum number is starting from 1 and it's the 12 is the maximum number, you know your sum of those digits, it can be from 1 to 8 and it's just showing all the numbers. Cool. You know the constraints. You can easily see that for sure it is possible that the numbers, the digits, it can be 23 at max because it is 10 to the power 22. As we know that 10 to the power 2 is actually 100, which is 3 digits. So this 10 to the power 22 has 23 digits, right? Cool. I know one thing. Now for every place I can have what options? I can have 9 options for this from 0 to 9 again, and I can have 9 options for the next place, 9 options for the next place, 9 for the next place, 9 for the next place. Thus it can go up till 9 to the power 23. That is the reason. Number of numbers, although it will not go because 23, it is at max 1000, which means it is actually 22 plus 1 digit is 1 and then 22 zeros. So it can at max go to 9 to the power 22, right? This can be pretty large. Number of numbers can be pretty large. That is the reason I can't go and find all the numbers. I have to do, because see, it is nothing but if you're trying to make numbers by recursion, as simple as that, you have to make by recursion. You will try to put on every number at the first place, which means you will try to put on 0, you will try to put on 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. Next, you will try to put on another number, let's say 0, 1, 2, 3. That's the reason I just showed you. Every place has 9 options to put in from 0 to 9, from 0 to 9, from 0 to 9, from 0 to 9. I'm saying in the worst case. And that is how you will simply see, okay, 9 to 22 can be possible options. For sure, while making the digit itself, it can have multiple same kind of stuff while making a recursion. And that's how, while doing simple recursion itself to make the digits itself, I can't go and make all the digits. But I just show you, okay, how the constraints are helping us to think of that simple recursion can't be applied. We have to think of more than that. And also the sum is just saying, okay, it can actually reach to 400. Cool. Now, for your reference, for your future practice, I have added a few questions which you can refer, right? These questions you can refer. It is the questions of digit DP. This is actually a good one. It is actually hard, very hard. So the questions above you can practice after learning this logic. Now, let's come back to this problem again. As I showed you, you have to break that in parts, which means first part is count the number of numbers in this particular range, which means from num1 to num2. And then the next part is the number sum, which means the digit sum. It should be between min sum and max sum. Now, if you guys have got this part, I will just simply say, okay, let's break it down again. Okay, it was the first part. Now it was the next part. If I had to link it back, okay, I will just break this part. Let's us say count the number of numbers between num1 and num2 with the digit sum as less than max sum. And same I can just repeat off by saying count the number of numbers between num1 and num2 with the digit sum as less than the min sum minus 1. With this, I will get the number of numbers, let's say 8 numbers here and 20 numbers here. So if I just subtract, okay, 20 numbers having the sum less than max sum and 20 numbers, and sorry, 8 numbers having the sum, let's say less than min sum minus 1. So ultimately, I will get the 12 numbers with the sum between min sum and max sum. That is one thing for sure. Okay, with this thing, you just broke it down to 2 parts and you can simply find the answer for one part. For one part, and the same, because see, it is just this variable called as sum. Let's say it as x. This x is only changing in these 2 parts, which means this and this. So you can use the same function. You can just okay, I just erased that part. You can just modify this one variable, which is the variable called as the x or sum, anything you want to say. You just have to use that same thing and just modify that. Okay, now your problem is reached to a point. You have to count the number of numbers in this range which with the digit sum as x. Now, as I showed you that, okay, applying the operation of sum is one step. Finding the number of numbers between this range is one step, right? Cool. So I will just simply broke it down. I will simply find the number of numbers. I'm simply showing, I'm simply counting the number of numbers in this range, which means from num1 to num2. So I can apply, although you can also again break it down to, okay, find the number of numbers between 0 to num2 and then 0 to num1. It is also okay. People do it like this also, but usually I have a practice, okay, bring it down to num1 and num2. Although you can actually break it as you broke it down, okay, max sum, okay, min sum minus 1. You can again break it down to num2 and num1 minus 1 again and do the operation again and again. But yeah, it is also okay that you apply like this. Now your task is to find the numbers within this range, which is num1 to num2. Now comes the part. To actually find the numbers in this range from num1 to num2, I have to try on all the possible digits. Now, when I say all the possible digits, what I mean, can I put blindly from 0 to 9 as I was showing here? As I was showing here, can I blindly put on every number from 0 to 9? No, right? Why no? It is simply because if my first digit is 2, so for sure I can't, and no, okay, no, your number is of 4 digits. I can't simply put on a 1 or a 9 here. I cannot put it, right? Because you know, if I put a 9, then the number will for sure become more than my num2. If I put in a 1, my number will for sure become less than my num1. So I can't blindly put in any number at my any index. I have to know, okay, is I'm bounded by anything? Am I bounded by anything? So to know, okay, am I bounded? When I say bounded by anything, I can be bounded by the minimum number. I can be bounded by the maximum number, which means here at this location, I can put in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 because I was bounded by the maximum number. I was bounded by the minimum number. and these mid numbers are not bounded at all. That's the reason I will have to make sure at every point of time I am not exceeding my high number and I'm not going beyond my low number, which means to know if I'm not exceeding my high number, I have to maintain, if the range is tight for me, if it is tight for me, I cannot go beyond. I will show what is the reference for this tight, but yeah, please make sure if the range is tight for me, I cannot go beyond. If the range is tight for me, I cannot go low. That is to make sure, if the range is tight 2 is okay. I'll please don't get confused if what it is. I'll show you, but I'm just saying, I need some kind of variable to make sure, hey, am I bounded right now? Am I bounded right now? If this is 1 or 0, if this is 1, it will say, you are bounded by the high value. You have, please make sure you are bounded by the high value, please. It will just make sure, you are bounded by the low value. If it is 1. I'll exactly show you how it is used. But please, it is just to refer to you. I have to make sure that I am bounded by my high and low. That's the reason I have to take variables as type 2 and type 1. Now, come back to the main problem. I have this number as num1. I have this number as num2. For sure. Now, at the index 0, I have to start placing my number. As I showed you that I have, if I had been blind, I had 9 options, right? But I am not blind. I am bounded by my smaller value, which is type 1. I am bounded by my higher value, which is type 2. For this, I am bounded, which means at this index, which means the initial index, I am bounded by my low and high. Low is 2, high is 8. You saw, low is 2, high is 8. I am bound by these two. Now, what will happen is the first location, I can place a 2 here. For sure, I can place a 2 here, but then the tight bound will remain intact, which means as soon as I place a 2, it was initially tight. As soon as the game started, as soon as I was starting to put in the values, the game was initially tight. I can put in the values from 2 to 8, but as soon as I put in a 2, the game is still tight. Aryan, what do you mean by still tight? When you put in a 2, the game is still tight, which means you cannot place a 1 now. You have to start from 3 or more. That's the reason I'm just saying the game is still tight, but it is tight only on the lower bound, which means as soon as I place a 2, my game is still tight. And I have to place the next number as starting from 3 and it will go on. Now, as again, I can place any number from 2 to 8, right? So I can easily place any number from 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So now, is it tight? No, it is not, because for sure it is not tight, right? It is not tight. It was not lower tight. It was not higher tight. So it is not tight. I can place any number next from 0 to 9 and it is not tight at all, which means both T1 is 0 and T2 is 0, which means it is not tight. But if I had placed a number 8, it was tight, right? Number 8 was tight. It was just end, which means it is just end. If I had placed an 8, I cannot blindly place a 9 or a 8 or a 7. I am bounded by my next number, which is this particular number. So the next number I can place, it can be only from 0 to 6. That's the reason if it is bounded high, which means type 2 is bounded, it is tight by higher bound, for sure I can place my next number in that range only. So that's the reason. As you are placing a number, your two variables, tight one, and for sure you have to place at every index. So for sure I equal to 0, I equal to 1, I equal to 2, I equal to 3 and so on and so forth. But then apart from this I index, you also need two variables, tight 1 and tight 2. It will represent the lower bound tight, it will represent the higher bound tight. It says, okay, my 2 is tight, I can place my next number more than that. It is not tight, so I can place any number next. Not tight at all. It is tight, I can place my next number in a tight range only. Now, Aryan, but then it is used only in the starting, right? It will not use later. No, it will still be used. How? As soon as you put any number and it was not tight. So as soon as you place any number, it was not tight at all. So for sure, the future part will also not be tight. And here, let's say if you choose to place a 0, then the next number will not tight, because see, you can place any number from 0 to 9, but what if you place a 6 here? Then it will make the next number as again tight. How? Because you know, as soon as you placed a 6, the next number need to be less than 5. Need to be less than 5, 0 to 5. That is the reason I will just check, okay, as soon as I know the options to place the numbers are from 0 to 6. I can place numbers from 0 to 6, but as soon as I am placing any number which is equal to, and for sure, earlier the range was tight, which means T2 was tight, and also I am about to place a number at this location. At this location, I am saying, okay, I is this particular index. I am about to place a number which is actually equal to 6, which means this particular value. It was already tight, and I am placing a number which is actually again tight, which means it will just say the next part, the next person, this next person index will also be tight. Existingly, it was tight, and you are again placing a number which is tight. So the next person will also be a tight. If I had placed, let's say here 5, I have placed at I as 5. It was not equal to 6, which means I have placed my 5. So I can place any number from 0 to 9, any number I can place here. It will just say, okay, it was tight, but now I'm placing a number which is not tight. So for sure, the next iteration will also be a not tight, which means next iteration, it will just result as 0, just saying, okay, it was not tight at all, right? And the same condition will go for this case also. For this case also, if it was tight, it was tight earlier, right? It was tight earlier. It will just say, okay, as soon as you placed any number at this index I, you place any number which is equal to a 3, which means this particular number. If you're placing a number which is actually tight, and it was already a tight, so please make sure that you are going to be tight again, which means next iteration you will be a tight. Now, Aryan, why are I understood this part. Okay, you are using the number being placed. It should be if it is a number which is tight, for sure. But why are you using this number? Okay, earlier it was tight or not? I'm using this number because you will see here, earlier this number was not tight. So even if you place a 3 or a 6, no worries at all. You can place any number. It will still not be tight at all. Why? Because earlier it was not tight. That is the reason. With this 3 cases, you can simply make your recursion. If it was already a tight, you can place only the values. If it was tight 1 to get the lower bound tight, tight 2 to get the higher bound tight, and also a tight, just say, okay, it is not tight at all. I have spoken this word tight so many times that, okay, it has become tight. That is the 3 conditions you have to only look in this particular problem. And that is how you can make your number between the range from num1 to num2. It is a high chance. See, it's actually a hard problem. Actually a hard problem. So if you don't understand it, I will highly, see, it can be a problem that you are very beginner. So there's a high chance you won't get this problem. But I have explained that to the best of my knowledge. I have studied this entire, if you just don't know, I have many problems of this DP. So this is the most easy explanation I could come up to actually explain that particular concept of being tight and not tight. Cool. Now, if the folks are liking it, can we please reach to likes, which is 70? Just one more like, that would be great. But no worries at all. We'll go into the code now. Now the code I am going to show you will actually just show the number which is being made. That's it. Not the entire problem. Which means here you saw one thing. I was just making the numbers between the range num1 and num2. That is it, right? Cool. That is the reason. Please, the code I'm going to show you, please only concentrate on the part which I am showing you. I'll show you the part only which just say, okay, the numbers are being made. A simple recursion we are using. Let's say the recursion name is count strings. We actually start from the index as 0. See, if I just start off, I will just say starting index is 0. Initially, the ranges are tight because I am bounded. Initially the ranges, because see, it is empty, right, initially. So I am bounded. I have to please make sure my lower bound is also tight, my upper bound is also tight. So initially everything is tight. Now, please forget this variable called as sum, and this nums1 and nums2 will remains as constant because I have just, it's just a input string nums1 nums2. Now, please forget this part. Please forget this part entirely. I will get the low for this number. What is the low? What is the minimum value it can reach? If the range is existingly tight, I can only get the values which is this particular value, which means if the range was existingly tight, I can only start from 2. I cannot start from 0. If the range was not tight, if the range would not have been tight, I can start from 0, which means if the range is tight, I can start from 2 itself. Right? The range was tight initially, so he has to start from the number itself, which is 2. Else, if the range would not have been tight, which means in the next step for the numbers like 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth, the range would not remain tight, so he can for sure start with the 0 itself. Now, again, thing was, what is the high? I got the low, I need to also get the high, right? Height is, okay, if the tight 2, if it is bounded, I have to end at 8. I cannot go beyond it. I cannot go to 9 if it is tight at bound 2, at tight 2. If it is not tight at tight 2, I can simply say, okay, my high bound is nothing but 9. So if it is tight, at tight 2, my high bound will go to nums2 digit. Else it will just simply say, okay, you can go to 9 if it is not tight. Now, these two are very important. I have explained entirely on this step, that how this is done. Now, please don't focus on this. I just show how the count string is done. In the next iteration, when you have to count this string, okay, you will go on to the next index, but as you go on to the next index, you have to say, okay, is the next location is gonna be tight or not? How you will say? If it was existingly tight, yeah, it was existing tight, and if that index was having a low value, as I showed you, it had a low value, so for sure the next range will also be a tight range. That's the reason it will just say, okay, if it was existingly tight and the next number which you are, and the number which you are putting in right now is also the lower number, because see, you put in the lower number, so the next range was also tight 1. It was bounded by the lower bound, so my tight 1 is being modified by the lower value. My tight 2 will get modified with the higher value. It will say, okay, it was existingly tight with tight 2, it was existingly tight with tight 2, and then I am again placing a number which is 6, which is actually the high number, right? If I'm just placing that number, which is the high number, I will just say, hey, it has been tight for tight 2. This is the only thing which you have to consider in this particular, which I have explained. Going on, then moving on to the next location. Updating the tight because of the current element which you put in and the tight you had existingly, and updating the tight for the higher element, which means the tight 2, considering the fact that, okay, you choose the higher element. That is the only thing which I wanted to show you to consider in this particular code. Now, coming back to the main problem. Now we have solved one major task, which is finding the numbers in the range from num1 to num2. Now, our main task was, okay, finding the numbers was good, but the sum of that number digit, it should be less than x. It should be less than x. And as I showed you also that, okay, x once I will take as maximum sum and 1 I will take as minimum sum minus 1, and I will just do a simply subtraction. So ultimately my main task is to find the number is made, the number is being made. While the number is being made, the sum of its digit, it should be less than equal to x. Right, this is my particular task. Now, as I keep on, okay, I will start with the sum as x, and I will just keep on subtracting the digit, because see, as I'm just, okay, I had this input number as this 2, 3, 4, 6, right? Let's say I just make my I just make my initial, I just put in the number as 3. So now let's say I had this sum I wanted as x. Let's say I wanted the sum less than equal to x. I wanted my sum should be less than, sorry, my sum should be less than equal to x, right? Which means x minus the sum of this should be greater than equal to 0. As simple as that. So I know this x, I have fixed this x, I know this x because I know this x. If you know, I know this x will be 1 time maximum sum, one time it will be minimum sum minus 1. So I know this x. Where is my x gone? I know this x. My sum, it is nothing but this whole sum, which means the sum of digits, right? It is d1, d2, d3, d4 and so on and so forth. So I know the sum will be nothing but as I keep on putting a number, my sum will get x minus d1, then minus d2, then minus d3, minus d4. It will just so on. And ultimately at last, when the entire digit is done, I have made this part, it should ultimately be more than equal to 0 to actually just say, okay, my sum was less than equal to x. So I know this x, I just keep on subtracting the digits which I'm putting in. I know I was putting, if you remember, I know I was putting in a digit which is from low to high. So I will just simply subtract that particular digit. It is nothing but a digit. From low to high, I'm putting a digit. So I'm just simply subtracting that digit from this sum, which is here I'm saying, okay, it is x. So what I will simply do is I will do a x minus that digit as I'm putting in that digit. And that is all. I just show you if your sum is greater than equal to 0, which means that is a valid sum, which means your x, because see, you just are subtracting this particular stuff, which means let's say the name this variable as sum or anything. If this ultimately at last this particular variable which remains, because see x is being modified as x minus digit, then again x minus d2, which means x is being written, and then x is being written, x minus d3 and so forth. Ultimately if the x remains and this x is more than equal to 0, I'll just say that's a perfect, and I can increase my count by 1, which means I have got one number which is from the range from num1 to num2, and also that number is having the sum of my digits as at least x, which means less than equal to, sorry, at most x, which means less than equal to x. Cool. So I will just simply modify my code. The earlier not modify, just added a few conditions that I will have a variable called as a sum also, and I will do simply at every iteration I know I have to get this digit called as idx. I know because of this digit, incoming digit, my sum will get reduced by sum minus idx. Ultimately I just showed you that ultimately this sum, which means this sum, this whole sum, it should be greater than equal to 0. This should be greater than equal to 0. In my variable it is sum. It should be greater than, because see, this sum is nothing but t1t2. In this code it is sum and it is being reassigned. So ultimately it should be greater than equal to 0, right? And as it is, if it is, then I will say, okay, if this sum is less than 0, please return a 0. Else I have reached the end. Else if I have reached the end and the sum is also for sure greater than equal to 0, please return a 1. I have found a valid number which is from num1 to num2 and also has the sum which is whose sum is, one time I will have max sum as the sum, and next time I will have the sum as min sum minus 1. I'll show that part again, but yeah, so you will see that firstly I will just call this particular sum with max sum. So I'll just say, okay, this number is, the sum is less than equal to my max sum, and next time I'm just calling that same function for min sum minus 1. Thus I will just subtract, I will just get the number of numbers such that it starts from num1 to num2 and has a sum less than equal to max sum, and I'll again by this b I'll get the number of numbers such that the numbers are from num1 to num2 and their sum is less than equal to min sum minus 1. And for sure I want the number of numbers between min sum and max sum, so I will just subtract these two and I will just get the answer, and that is simple answer. and as it's a mod operation, so you have to do a minus b plus mod whole mod. That is a simple mod operation which you have to do. But you remember the one thing, I just get the sum, and that is all. Simply getting one good number, and good number is nothing but it is between num1 and num2, and also its sum is less than equal to max sum or sum in this variable, right? Cool. By this, what will happen is ultimately you saw I just at every iteration I'm just decreasing a digit, because see this digit is being added, so for sure my sum which I expected, it should go down. That is simply it is going down, and ultimately I will just get the count of, I'll just have simply going and simply adding the count with, I can get the count from my next part, which means I plus 1, and counting the existing part, which is for every digit from low to high. And ultimately I will just do a memorization, simple memorization. How? Simply I have this variable called as I, type 1, type 2 and sum, and these two are constants, so no worries. Use a I, use a type 1, use a type 2, use a sum. I is nothing but the position in my actual string, thus it is my actual number was 22. As I showed you, it can go to the 23 length string. Type 1, it can be true or false, so it is a simple 0 or a 1. It can be a simple 0 or a 1 too. Again, my sum, as the constraint was saying, my sum can actually go up till 400, so that's the reason I have the sum as 401. So these are the constraints for my DP, and that is how and that is how you can simply find my answer. By this DP, simply initialize my DP, simply rechecking my DP, that okay, if that DP is -1 or not, and simply saying okay, that DP, just putting in the value in that DP before returning that value. And ultimately you saw that how the complexity will be nothing but it is number of digits into 2 into 2 into sum. Although in the 2 into 2 you can just ignore, it's a constant, but yeah, it is nothing but 23 into my sum, which is the log n, because n, if you just consider as 10 to the power 22, so log n to the base 10 is nothing but into my sum, which is this. Ultimately it's 23 into 400 into 2 into 2. That is the final complexity of this problem, which is the maximum complexity. Space is also same. Same log n into sum into 2 into 2. Right, that is all. The notes I will provide that in the description link, but that was the entire question. I showed the entire code very briefly. Still a quick walkthrough of the code. You will see that here one thing just remained, that here I was just saying okay, as you have the number 1 as 46 and number 2 as 586, so as to make them like equal, because you are iterating on my number, just one number, and getting the values, because at this index you will just say okay, you are comparing numbers, initial numbers, right? So for sure I will just add some zeros in the start to just make this length of num1 and num2 as equal, and then I can simply start iterating on this. So you will see this operation will actually is making the length of num1, because num1 can be a small length, so it is making that length of num1 equal to the length of num2. And then I will just simply go and find the number of ways for num1 to num2. I simply find the number of ways of finding the number of numbers which are in the range from num1 to num2 and having the sum less than or equal to maximum sum, and the number of numbers are in the range from num1 to num2 and having the sum as min sum -1, and then subtracting that and finding the answer. That is how you will simply find your code. My code was very dirty, I put in, but yeah, it was a clean code. But yeah, this part remained exactly the same. So it is just how you just use this. See, the new problem which you will see will just modify this part. Okay, one time it will just say okay, the numbers should be consecutively prime, the numbers product should be prime, the number product should be x, the number product range should be this, the number this. So basically it will just go on and check on the digits. That is how you will just simply have to change and modify these conditions. That will be simply solve this kind of answer. Cool. that was this question. I hope that you guys got it. I'll quickly go into the comments. Gautam, correct. I will add this question and one question of see, it is one question I just liked a lot, this DP of digit DP question. Although it is very rare that company will ask, probably companies like Coordination or maybe in worst case Google, Coordination, Tower Research, maybe they can ask, but Google might or might not. If you have a very good profile of coding, which means you have a good coding, good rating on Codeforce and stuff, then maybe Google might ask this problem. But in natural standard cases, Google might not, because I've seen Google just ask problems on the basis of what your profile had been. So if you had a good profile, then for sure Google might ask this. But if not, then there's a not high chance. So, but yeah, for sure I will just try this problem. And one problem we saw of that problem, I forgot the name, but yeah, that one, which was DP plus sliding window plus something. There was 4 concept applied, and also that problem in the list of our graph. Oh, sorry. DSA, Aryan DSA 169 series. That 69 number is also specifically chosen, but yeah, cool. So any questions, any doubts, anything for this problem? But yeah, if before that, can we reach to 80 likes, that would be great, because this was a very good questions. And I thought why not, yeah, 21 game, correct. So 21 game, and this problem I will add, I forgot adding 21 games, so I will quickly go and add 21 game and a digit DP question, this digit DP question in that our DSA 169 series, so that you can actually go and solve that, because both the questions were actually perfect. Yeah, Akash, Prashant, you guys are actually good at finding the things. Cool. If anyone have any doubts, any stuff, anything whatsoever, but yeah, if you still want, I have a few questions of digit DP also. So I can maybe quickly show you that how I used to maintain stuff. See, as soon as you, as I'm saying, as soon as you just see and hear stuff, please go and see that how the stuff can be done. See, if I just go and quickly share you my, although it is very stuff. See, as you can see, I have exactly everything written. TP with bit masking, and if I just scroll down, TP and geometry, digit DP, I have so many questions for it. I have also added in the list. See, before even going, I have added this question in my list itself, this particular question. So it is how you should do. You should maintain your entire list of every stuff you read. But I'm not saying that it is very important. I'm not saying. It is just that I do like this. I try to maintain my entire code, entire stuff at one place. I have all the questions of digit DP, everything. I just wanted anything I just learned from anywhere, I just add in my notes and keep at that one place. So just one thing, you just learn this concept. Please go and make sure that you add it. It's the reason. The main task. See, after my preparation of UPSC, I just found out one thing. To get good at one thing is to get good at one thing. The most important stuff is to access your resource as fast as possible. Which means, if I just say, okay, have this. Let's say you have, by hint also, if you get to know, okay, it's the question of digit DP. Go back, look at your notes, how that code was written. Have I seen the same problem again? Have I seen the same kind of concept again? Go back and look at your notes. That's the reason I have always emphasized on making your notes, and I have also maintained. I have around 18 problems of digit DP itself. That's the reason. I just say, and that's not from only Leetcode, that it is from GFG, from YouTube, from some other websites also, like Coding Ninja, Coding Blogs also. So anytime I see a problem and I like it, I just add it in. And if anyone is explaining that part, So I just add that part also. Akash Kumar, UPSC. If the people don't know, I have also prepared for UPSC, CSC, which means Civil Service Examination. But yeah, so that was like, see, topper stuff, guys, relax. Nee, it's not topper stuff. It is just that you will see, as soon as I saw this question, I went back to my notes to actually look on, okay, because see, it is very rare that such kind of questions are being asked in contest. But if it is being asked, because see, let's say if I ask you sparse matrix, if I ask you segment trees, so you won't implement that stuff, right? And the segment trees can have quite a lot of modifications. So as soon as you study that, please like have snippets. You can have anything. You can have code also which explains you with comments. But yeah, that is like, that is one of my advice. It's up to you. You want to follow that or not? But yeah, it's my advice to you guys that how you want to do that and how you want to maintain that. But yeah, if the folks are still watching in and liking in, can we reach to 85 likes? That would be great. My man collecting all infinity stones. Yeah, you're like the best part. But the comments, I like, but I just like if it had an option of hearting, I would have hearted many comments, because see, the comments I like are, you can roast me entirely. I won't mind at all. You can roast me in the comments entirely as much as you want. It should be funny. The people should laugh at it. I'm just saying, roast me entirely, because see, I've seen you can roast me at many points. In my vlogs also, I have just did many times like this. Like I just put in my hair back, and it's the reason I just put in back, but like because of that, I see you can roast me entirely at every point, but it should be funny for sure. And that's the reason, like, I just like the comments, which actually I love being roasted. I don't know why, but yeah. That is it. If you guys have any question related to anything, I'm planning to make a video. I have a topic in mind, yeah. But before that, if the folks are watching, if you guys want a video on any stuff which you are struggling for your internship, placements, or any part in general, like last time, one of the persons in our group recommended making a video on online assessments. So I collected all the resources and I made a video on that part. So anything you guys want, please do comment it down in this particular live chat, or possibly in the comment section or anything like that, so that I would know. Because see, it's very hard for me to go and find, okay, what topic to make video on and all that stuff. So if you guys vlog will be coming in. Yeah, one thing for the vlog part, you guys want the entire day vlog or the part where I go in? Because the entire day, when I say is, it can be the case I'm just coming in, going out, eating and making videos, and also like solving problems and stuff. It can be entirely vlog. And one kind of vlog is that, okay, getting like moving on to a new place, just recording that and showing experience on that part. That is one kind of vlog. So I'm making both of them. Let's see how you guys react. Dynamic query, it will come in with the problems itself. Bhai, dedicated DP series chahiye for DSA and also CP. That would be great too, but it would take time. So we can't start it right now. I can't commit that right now, because see, the thing which takes time, I need to plan pre-head that what would be coming in, as I didn't plan much for the bar graph series, and that's the reason that a few things are stuck. I don't get time. We have live streams, and also the placements are coming in, so I have to guide students also. So that's the reason I will plan pre-head before making the entire series. But 2 months preparation strategy bata do, not for beginners but as a revision. That's a good one. 2 months strategy for 2 months. Yeah, that is actually a good one. So yeah, if the folks are still watching, you guys can just suggest the topics. I forget, so I'll just quickly take the screenshot of that. Whatsoever I like the part, because see, You can just write down the comments and what kind of video. उत्कर्ष त्यागी हिंदी. हाँ यार देखो सुनो, हिंदी में कर सकता हूँ, बट द पार्ट इज कि लेक्चर में इंग्लिश में रिकॉर्ड सी बकचोदी वाली वीडियोस जो होती हैं, जो मतलब आलतू फालतू की होती हैं, जहां पे बस तुम्हें ज्ञान देना होता है बिना बात का, वहां पे तुम हिंदी बोलो इंग्लिश बोलो ज्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ता, तुम वहां पे फीलिंग दे रहे हो अपनी. बट इन द लेक्चर्स आई ट्राई टू पुट इन इंग्लिश. द ओनली रीजन इज maybe you will get comfortable in the way you can express that to the interviewer. Although it becomes easier for you to understand, that is correct, but the part which I have learned a lot was I was also not good at speaking English. Maybe now also I'm not, but yeah, that comes in picture when we actually hear that stuff again and again. I purposely go and listen to the person. If I want to understand a concept, good. But if I want to practice parallelly speaking, so either you can do by yourself or you can just see why you have seen that watching English movies, watching English TV series help you in your communication skills. How? Because you are listening someone speaking in that language, which actually makes you comfortable speaking in that language. But yeah, मैं हिंदी में भी properly बकचोदी कर सकता हूँ, so that is not an issue for me. But I just try कि ठीक है थोड़ा अंग्रेजी में भी बात कर ली जाए. क्यों थारा, ये कौन सी लैंग्वेज थारा? मेक अ प्लेलिस्ट ऑफ गेम थ्योरी. यार गेम थ्योरी इज नॉट as a concept you will see in DSA. You can see the problems of game theory, but not as a concept in general, and that's a very, see, the priority of game theory will come in very end. So but yeah, for sure we can actually make that. Agam Gupta, dynamic queries question, cool. Gautam, which company is tough interview to crack? See, it depends from company to company. Do prank on rating yourself out of 10 by giving the pickup line. We need to see the outside of Aryan. Do the prank on rating yourself out of 10 by giving the pickup line. We need, यार पता है ये सब के लिए ना एक और बंदा चाहिए जो रिकॉर्ड करे, जबकि मेरे सारे दोस्त शरीफ हैं, राइट? तो मे बी एक कोई बनाना पड़ेगा दोस्त इस टाइप का, वो कर पाए रिकॉर्ड तो सही है. बट या which company is tough interview to crack? See, as in no company is tough, but if you want to try for coordination, it might be tough because they just randomly start with the hards itself. But I have seen a few times the interview of coordination also going easy, so that is not a problem. But yeah, there's like other ones I can say maybe tower research, but that also a few, it's your luck if it just asks you hard or it just asks you easy. While Google, no, it's not that. Google will not ask. Google always asks you according to you, what you have and what you can offer. Google interview are very, very, very different for two peoples, like very different. For one, it can be very, very, very easy. For one, it can be very, very, very hard, depending upon what you have in your resume. If you just say you are a candidate master, then there's a high chance that interviewer, in out of 4 interviews, he will ask. Usually if you are having a big, like good impression, it's usually 3 interviews, but if it is not that, then usually it is 5, with 1 is the googliness round, but the 4 ones, it will be according to your profile, that okay, have you been very good in programming? So he will for sure try to check that part, because see, integrity is one part which comes in picture. If you are showing you are very good, then you must be very good, and it can be shown and it can be seen by just asking you a quite, I'll ask you a maybe 1600 question, rating question of code forces, and you should be able to do if your rating is 1700 or more. So that is how he just checks your integrity part, that if you're actually true or not. Which company stuff? By, is it okay to do LLD in Python from interview experience? By LLD is stage पे if you are preparing, if you are having less than 2 or 3, but yeah, यार तुम लोग let's reach to 85 likes. यार मैंने कितनी पहले कहा था, just एक और like कर दो यार, बहुत अच्छा लगेगा. 85 likes, that would be great. But just 85 likes, just one more, that would be great. But yeah, LLD, bhai, if you have experience less than 2 or 3 years, there's a high chance company LLD नहीं पूछेगी. तो एलएलडी करना है या नहीं, इट्स अप टू यू. इट कैन हेल्प यू, मे बी डी शो, एक बार डी शो गलती से मतलब बस ऐसी पूछ लेगी तुम्हें आता है बता दो, नहीं आता नो वरीज. बट LLD is just a plus point to have, not a point which companies will expect you to know. So जो वो एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं तुम जानते हो, तो वो पार्ट यू शुड नो. भाई भैया कैन यू प्लीज कैन यू सजेस्ट सम क्वेश्चंस रिलेटेड टू थर्ड क्वेश्चन ऑफ दिस कॉन्टेक्स्ट, मैट्रिक्स वाला. सी राइट नाउ मैट्रिक्स वाला का एज सच अभी कोई मेरे पास क्वेश्चन नहीं है, बट इफ यू जस्ट गो ऑन टू द लास्ट 2-3 स्ट्रीम्स, आई स्टिल रिमेंबर ऐसा हमने किसी ना किसी कॉन्टेस्ट, इफ एनीवन एल्स कैन जस्ट राइट डाउन, हमने ऐसा क्वेश्चन किसी ना किसी कॉन्टेस्ट में किया है इससे पहले, जहां पे हम रो और कॉलम पे एक्चुअली में ऑपरेट कर रहे थे, एंड दैट वाज द एक्चुअल इंट्यूशन. एंड अभी आई हैव नॉट कट इट बिकॉज सी इट इज वन थिंग व्हिच कम्स इन question to question. I have not specifically made a group of such kind of problems of matrix walas, but yeah, if anyone else knows this part or remember that question which we studied, can just write down below. But I have to go and look back because I'm very bad at remembering the names of problem. I still did not remember 21 game. That was the best question I have seen so lately. So yeah, if I still don't remember that, how can I? But yeah, and meanwhile, if the folks are still watching, I was just asking for you guys to write it down the video you guys want on, apart from lectures, which I can make in a day or a two. That is what I'm asking you out, because the internship placement season is coming up. If you guys want something which is not available on the internet, maybe you could not find it, or maybe you found about but the resource was not that great, so you can just comment that part down. I would be grateful to make a video on that. Cool. Bhaiya, can you please हो गया DP query. Cool. Lectures should be in English so that many people can understand. Not everyone understands Hindi, unlike South people. Somajit, true. Segmentaries. Soyesh, cool. Do prank on rating yourself. Hi. अच्छा ठीक है, दैट वाज नाइस आइडिया, बट आपके नेबर को बोलो वी रिकॉर्ड, वो रिकॉर्ड करेगा. सोम्याजीत, ओके. लर्नर भाई प्लीज डिजिट डीपी की तरह एडवांस टॉपिक पढ़ाओ, आसान टॉपिक सबने पढ़ा रखा है, डिफिकल्ट ओए वाला पढ़ा दो. डिफिकल्ट कोई पूछता नहीं है, कोई पूछेगा भी तो दैट्स अ वेरी रेयर चांस कि कोई ये क्वेश्चन पूछेगा डिजिट डीपी का. बट स्टिल या आई कैन टीच, बट ये है कि I was just referring to कोई ऐसा part which can actually be made in a week or so. So that's the reason. How to deal with the mass cheating that happens in OA? We can't. इससे हम डील नहीं कर सकते भाई, सिंपल है. डील करना तो खुद घुस जाओ इसमें, एक ऑप्शन ये है. बट द थिंग विच सी, मैं तो ये कहता हूं, अगर तुम कर सकते हो तो कर लो. अगर तुम्हें लगता है कि तुम्हें इससे बहुत ज्यादा इंपैक्ट हो रहा है, तुम्हारे पास होता, तुम भी कर सकते हो तो करो, मना नहीं किया. बट द इंपैक्ट इट विल हैव ऑन योर ब्रेन, इट विल बी इमेंस. तुम अगर चीटिंग करके, लाइक मास चीटिंग करके, अगर मैं तो कह रहा हूं दूसरा बंदा कर रहा है, करने दो, बट तुम चाहते हो कि तुम्हारे पास ऑप्शन है, तुम कर सकते हो, करो. बट आई एम नॉट सेइंग तुम्हारा फायदा होगा, पक्का होगा, 100% तुम्हारा फायदा होगा, बट जो तुम्हारा इंपैक्ट होगा ना ब्रेन पे, वो पता है किस फॉर्म का होगा. तुम अगला क्वेश्चन देखोगे ना, तुम पहले ही मान लोगे तुमसे नहीं होगा, जबकि देयर इज अ हाई चांस तुमसे हो सकता है. एंड दैट विल कीप ऑन गोइंग इन योर ब्रेन एंड विल मेक यू थिंक दैट यू कांट सॉल्व द प्रॉब्लम्स. बट ऐसा नहीं होगा, तुम कर सकते हो सॉल्व प्रॉब्लम्स. तो अगर जैसे इट इज एग्जैक्ट सेम डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल टू कॉन्फिडेंस. तुम कॉन्फिडेंस अपने घर में आके फेक कर लो, तुम यहाँ पे कर लो फेक, ओके मतलब चलूंगा मैं तो ये कर लूंगा, मैं तो वो कर लूंगा. बाहर तुम्हारी फट के हाथ में आ जाएगी, इंटरव्यू में तुम्हारी फट के हाथ में आ जाएगी, स्टेज पे तुम्हारी फट के हाथ में आ जाएगी. सिंपल है. क्योंकि जब तक रियल लाइफ जहां पे प्रेशर होता है ना, वहां पे वो चीज अप्लाई नहीं कर सकते, तब तुम्हारा माइंड उस चीज को मानेगा ही नहीं कि वो काम तुम कर सकते हो. तो अगर तुम स्ट्रेस में प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं कर पा रहे, या फिर तुम कॉन्टेस्ट में देख के या फिर कुछ करके, या फिर इफ द फोक्स आर स्टिल वाचिंग, थोड़ा कम टाइम में पढ़ाया कर ब्रो। दीपांशु कुल प्लीज डोंट स्पैम इट यार, प्लीज डोंट स्पैम इट। कोई फायदा नहीं है, स्पैम करोगे यार मैं निकाल दूंगा, मतलब स्पैम करोगे मैं ब्लॉक कर दूंगा। यू कैन राइट द सेम स्टफ 2 times, दैट्स इट। पुट यूजर इन टाइम आउट, हाइड यूजर फ्रॉम चैनल, मॉडरेटर रिमूव, हाइड यूजर। भाई मैं कह रहा हूँ स्पैम मत करा करो, किसी का मैसेज आएगा ही नहीं ऐसे। तो दैट इज डन। अब दीपांशु कांट मैसेज एनी मोर, बट या I'm just saying that you can write anything down. You can write to chutiya hai, anything, like for sure. Forgive me for the mistake, but write that down just one time. Please don't spam it, or 2 times at max. I can just look at it. But don't write that same stuff down. I will just block it. But I could. But if the folks are still watching, can we 95 likes? That would be great. But meanwhile, I'm just saying कि तुम बना सकते हो अपना को पागल बना लो, बट दिक्कत ये है कि भाई दिमाग नहीं मानता। He needs a real life example. He needs that real life confidence. He needs that real life exposure to get instinct into it कि भाई तू कर लेगा, तू फोड़ लेगा, तू फाड़ लेगा। That's the reason I just recommend, प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने से कुछ नहीं होगा, हमारी जो TSA शीट है उसको लगाने से भी सिर्फ कुछ नहीं होगा, तुम्हें वर्चुअल कॉन्टेस्ट देना पड़ेगा, तुम्हें अपने दिमाग को पागल बनाना पड़ेगा कि भाई तू रैंक ले आता है, तू रैंक ले आएगा, तू फाड़ देगा। हमें दिमाग को ऐसे पागल बनाना है, दैट इज द रीजन। हमें इसके चक्कर में नहीं पड़ना है, उनका दिमाग पागल नहीं बन पाएगा, पता है उनका, पता है ये चीज रिफ्लेक्ट करती है इंटरव्यू के अंदर भी। तुम्हारा कॉन्फिडेंस बोलता है यार, और कॉन्फिडेंस आता ही तब है जब तुम्हें एक्चुअली में वो सॉल्व करना आता है। सो प्लीज अपने आप को मत बनाना पागल। तुम कर सकते हो चीटिंग, करो, मैं मना नहीं कर रहा, मैं कुछ नहीं कर रहा, तुम करो, दूसरा कर रहा है करो, बट द लॉन्ग टर्म इंपैक्ट इट विल हैव ऑन योर मेंटालिटी विल बी इनसेन। तो तुम उससे कैसे बचोगे वो बता देना मुझे बस। बाकी इफ द folks are still watching, can we reach to 95 likes? That would be great. But balloon color, I think something like that. Balloon color. Problem name I don't remember. I will just have to check back. But yeah, that I can check back. I'm doing Leetcode. एक मिनट कहाँ रह गया यार? I'm doing Leetcode since long time. I'm doing Leetcode since long time, and now I'm able to solve 3 questions in the contest. Am I good to go for placements? See, 3 questions solve करना शिवम is different part, and कितनी देर में solve करना is different part. If you can just let me know what has been your rank in the last 5 contests, I'll let you know that for which company, which kind of, because see, when I say companies, I bifurcate companies into 4 groups. काफी अच्छी वाली, medium वाली, then low वाली, which means ठीक है they don't ask much, and then फिर बहुत low जो मतलब कुछ भी नहीं पूछती, सिर्फ OA वगैरह में ही मतलब जैसे होता है ना एप्टीट्यूड वगैरह पूछ के काम खत्म कर देती हैं, तो वो वाली I can just let you know that part. So तू भी कर भाई, लोहा ही लोहे को काटता है। Come on guys, in Google, Facebook, mostly the old men will be there, then it will be boring, so that it's better to join in the mid-range company like TCS, then you can enjoy life. It is not that कि Google, Facebook बुढ़े लोग होते हैं भाई, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। Every kind of people are there in every company for sure, so don't be into that mentality कि बुढ़े लोग होंगे। हर कंपनी में लोग निकलते भी हैं, आते भी हैं। गूगल में कोई आया है तो जाएगा भी। He wants to go somewhere else. He wants to try something else. He wants to get exposure to something else. So for sure that part will come in. So बुट्टे लोग भाई, ये IT IO64 प्लीज थोड़ा सा वहां से बाहर निकलते हैं हम। हेलो सर, फ्रॉम योर कॉलेज एंड हाई केल, balloon color, I think 1 month ago, I guess. Correct, I guess. Thank you bhai, thank you. What is your motivation to keep yourself consistent and solve problems? You guys are my motivation. My only motivation is you guys, period. That's it. Sir, I am in tier 3 college, please guide me to crack the interview of product based companies. See यार, guiding as in मैं कुछ अलग नहीं बता दूंगा. It's more or less कि तुम कितनी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहे हो, तुमने वो शीट लगाई नहीं लगाई है, डीएसए शीट विच इज डीएसए 169, तुमने तुमने कितनी तुम क्या रोज प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करते हो नहीं करते, तुम वर्चुअल कॉन्टेस्ट कितनी रैंक ला रहे हो, एंड हाउ इज योर प्रोजेक्ट लाइक, हाउ इज योर रेज्यूमे लाइक. तो ये सब यू हैव टू बैलेंस एंड मेंटेन आउट. आई जस्ट रिकमेंड जस्ट गो हैव दैट स्टफ, बिकॉज ये बहुत बेसिक स्टफ है, ये कर लो. मैं कुछ नया खास बता नहीं दूंगा इसके अंदर. Although I can just guide you, I can just track your progress. जो हम कर रहे हैं अपनी VP क्लास मेंबरशिप के अंदर, हम लोगों की प्रोग्रेस ट्रैक करते हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं क्या नहीं कर रहे, क्या करना चाहिए क्या नहीं करना चाहिए. बट क्या करना है दैट इज फिक्स्ड. सिंपली सॉल्विंग द DSA शीट, DSA 169, सॉल्विंग वन प्रॉब्लम डेली, वन वर्चुअल कॉन्टेस्ट डेली, अगर कॉन्टेस्ट नहीं है तो, एंड make your resume good by making the projects at least 3. I'm not saying खुद बनाओ बैठ के, कॉपी कर लो चलेगा. Just make the functionality unique, make the use case unique, and that would be you. That would be it. We need your home tour and your room tour and your fridge tour. What stuff present in your phone? Make a video please. मेरे फोन में भाई that was nice one though. वैसे मेरे फोन में ऐसा कुछ खास है नहीं, if I just say, but yeah, that's a good recommendation. Dipanshu, please don't spam. Bhai, stream is going friendly. He will read your comment, please. Bhai, plus bhai, resume view कर सकते हो? Yeah, I was thinking to have a resume view series. If the people are interested, can you just write resume review, so that I will just post a poll in the community. I will make a Google form link. I will ask you to push in your resumes, and then I can just actually start reviewing your resume live, which means maybe by some recorded video stuff, or maybe live. But yeah, if the people are interested to actually get the resume reviewed, just I just want to know the number of people, because if the number is less, I won't do that part. If the number is high, you can just write a resume review if you want your resume to get reviewed, and then I would be happy to, because see, it will just take probably an 5-6 घंटा to review your resumes, so I can do that part. That is not a big deal. So yeah, I can review your resume and can probably tell you that which part of your resume is not great, what you can improve in your resume, what you cannot, so that it gets chosen by all the companies. Bhai, resume review कर सकते हो for sure. Kapil Sharma, I'll just write that also down. Resume reviews are good stuff, because by this I will post a community post where I will just write that down. Just push in your resumes and I would be great to review them. लना भाई कितना घंटा पढ़ लेते थे टाइम अपने टाइम में? माँ बहुत स्लो हूँ. भाई कितना घंटा is not that important. It's just that कि आप कितना घंटा सही से क्या प्रॉब्लम कर रहे हो, कितना सीख रहे हो उस प्रॉब्लम से. जैसे आज का प्रॉब्लम, if you did, you learned. If the folks are still watching, can we reach to 95 likes? Just 2 more likes, that would be great. Super great. But if the folks are still watching, see, घंटा पढ़ने से कुछ नहीं होता. It's the problem which you see, which you focus on. अच्छी प्रॉब्लम करो. जैसे आज you learned digit DP, please go and make sure that you just add in your notes digit DP का. I will also, after ending the stream, I will also add in the comments the notes of digit DP. I will upload that to our drive. How to study for JEE anonymous? भाई JEE preparation कर रहा है and coding भी कर रहा है, देख रहे हो भाई तुम. See, JEE is not, मतलब I have cleared JEE and stuff, but I have forgotten many stuff, so I'm not a good person to guide on that part. But yeah, you can come up with OS, DBMS, networking, and OOPS notes would help me a lot. That would be great. But it's mostly the YouTube notes which I have made. That's it. Resume review. Can you start your DSA sheet 1 question daily video series? Even if I start it, that won't complete, because questions are 169. It would complete in around 6 months. So if you have your placements, although for sure, I will start with my DSA 169 series ke questions, but that would go on after our graph series is completed. But yeah, before that also, if your placements is coming up, for every questions I have seen, there's a video on YouTube and the editorial also on the Leetcode Discuss page. You can solve that problem very easily by either by the YouTube video or by the simple editorial. So please, if you have your placement coming up, please, it will just take hardly 1.5 months. Just go and do all the problems, and that would be super helpful. And please, parallelly also make sure that you are solving one problem daily and also one virtual contest if possible. If you have time after college and stuff, then please. Resume review for sure. CS fundamentals, how to prepare for placements. I have just given, if you just go back on online assessments ka video, in that I have given the entire topic. Just go and write that topic name on YouTube or on Google. Anyway, if you like to read stuff, go and write that on Google. If you like to view videos, go and write that on YouTube. You have a YouTube video, 15 minutes, go watch it. You will get that concept, and that is more than sufficient. Or there are many people who actually have made knowledge gate ho gaya. There is one more, gate smashers हो गया. ये लोगों ने काफी अच्छा पढ़ा रखा है for this part, तो आप वहां से पढ़ सकते हो. That is great. Resume review. भाई, what's your pass out year 2022? But yeah, if the folks are still watching, can we reach 200 likes? That would be great. A century. Smash it. जैसे ना छक्का मारते हैं 100 reach करके, तो 101 reach कर दो तुम. But yeah, cool. We will be ending stream in 3 minutes. So yeah, any other thing, bro? I was doubt of how many years you are doing this DSA like stuff, and you are topper of your college, but mostly college toppers are introverts, but you are not like that. Love you, bye. See, I was not an introvert, kind of like I was an extrovert, but बस ठीक है. मतलब ये होता है ना कि बस काम कर लो फिर कुछ भी करते रहो, अपना ये फंडा है. तो ठीक है, घर वालों ने कहा नंबर ले आओ, अब उनको शौक था नंबर का तो मैं ले आया, तो नंबर उनके लिए लाया मैं. मुझे नहीं पता था कि नंबर लाने के इतने फायदे हो सकते हैं, वो पता चला नंबर लाने की बात. बट द मेन रीजन वाज कि नंबर लाने का ये रीजन था कि घर वालों ने कहा था उनको नंबर चाहिए, उसके बाद नंबर आ गए तो मैं कुछ भी कर सकता हूं. इसीलिए आई वॉज एबल टू डू मेनी काइंड ऑफ बकचोदीज इन माई कॉलेज टाइम, बिकॉज नंबर तो आ ही रहते. अभी भी ये फंडा है, तुम बस काम कर लो फिर तुम कुछ भी करो, तो यू हैव सीन कि आई एम इंडल्ज्ड इन वेरी काइंड ऑफ एब्सर्ड एक्टिविटीज टू सुपर एब्सर्ड. मैंने वो सब कुछ ट्राई कर लिया जो कभी मैं सोचा भी नहीं था, जस्ट बिकॉज ठीक है कोई रोकने वाला नहीं है ना. मतलब बस तुम इसी लाइफ का ही फंडा होना चाहिए. जस्ट फोकस ऑन वन थिंग एंड डू इट परफेक्टली, एंड फिर तुम कुछ भी करो. तुम चाहे बस तुम एक बार तुम कॉन्टेस्ट अच्छे से दो, लाइव स्ट्रीम अच्छे से देखो, क्वेश्चन करो, उसके बाद जाके तुम झक मारो, जो करना है बकचोदी करो, तुम्हें जो करना है तुम वो करो. बस जस्ट दैट कि थोड़ा उस टाइम पे जब हो रहा है, जब कॉन्टेस्ट है, जब प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहे हैं, एकदम ध्यान लगा के प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहे हैं, ऐसे काम करना चाहिए अपने को. कूल. Sir, I do minimum 1 to 2 questions daily. That is good, but I will highly recommend to give one virtual contest also daily if your placements are coming up soon. And if you have mock interview video, mock interview किसको चाहिए ये बताओ, कौन आएगा mock interview देने? I will firstly choose like resume review, फिर उस resume review में से I will choose 2-3 लोगों का mock interview, and फिर उन लोगों का mock interview हो सकता है वैसे. That's a nice one now. But yeah, if the folks are still watching, can we reach to a century? 100 likes. But yeah, do you also give the CF contest? I don't get much time. I try to, but I don't get much time. So yeah, shopping vlog, please, one request. I'm unable to understand. Shopping vlog is coming up. How you know that what? How you know that part? ITI 064. Not sure, not sure. I'm not able to understand Hindi. I'm from Telugu background. No worries, no worries. ITI 064. Love, I would like see. I would mostly speak in English. The few times I just speak in Hindi, but that's no worries at all. But yeah, love you guys. That was great meeting you. We have reached quite a lot of time, but a heart from all you guys, and that would be great. Cool. That would be great. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining in. Love you, love you, love you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for IT Shivam, ITI 064 Shivam, Midas, जो भी है, सिद्धांत, शिवम, मोहम्मद, कमल, कपिल, Rishi, and Anonymous, Kapil, Vishal, Utkarsh, Siddhant, Gautam, Akash, Prashant. Thank you so much all for joining in. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Love you. See you in the next contest live stream. And please, फाड़ते रहो, फोड़ते रहो. एकदम बिल्कुल जिंदा गाड़ देंगे भाई, सबको जिंदा गाड़ देंगे जो भी आएगा सामने. Cool. That was all. See you guys. Love you. The question was awesome of today's Digit DP. Bye bye, bye bye. Happy Sunday. Happy. See you next week for sure, Gautam. Bye bye, bye bye. Bye bye. Fourth question, not for the interview. It can be asked. I can't say not. But yeah, the likes are 99. If we can just reach one more like, that would be great. But yeah, cool. Bye bye. Thank you so much. Bye bye, bye bye, bye bye, bye bye, bye bye. Ending the stream. That is all. Bye.